Ever since the Supreme Court threw open the doors of Sabarimala temple to women of all ages last week, there's been a growing unease among some quarters with the decision. Just like Indu Malhotra cautioned against the interference of courts in the sphere of religion and faith, large groups of women and men in Kerala have come together. The massive protest they're holding is to say that what the Supreme Court has ordered is wrong, calling it their Jallikattu moment, a reference to when the Supreme Court order banning the cruel bull racing sport was diluted by a central government order. These 8,000 people who turned up on the streets of Kerala to ask for a review of the order say that the order is sacrilege, and the women, many of them young and college-going, say they are happy to wait to go and see Lord Ayappa at the Sabarimala temple instead of using the newfound right to visit the temple. So on Reality Check, we look at the claims of these protesters. Is it really true that faith demands that women between the ages of 10 and 50 shouldn't visit the temple? Or is it through the Kerala High Court judgment of 1991 that this ban came in? Now, a reading of that judgment, which we did, shows that women were visiting the temple before that. It says, and I quote now from the judges, special treatment is alleged to have been given to wives of VIPs. So, in fact, there was a case that only the relatives of those in the board, they got special treatment and they could have access. In fact, a rice feeding ceremony of the granddaughter of the then Devaswam Commissioner Chandrika at the Sabarimala temple in the daughter's presence became one of the central points of the 1991 case. The judges also say there was no prohibition for women to enter the Sabarimala temple in the olden days, but women in large number were not visiting the temple, not because of any prohibition imposed by the Hindu religion, but because of other non-religious factors. All of this I'm quoting from that judgment. Now, in recent years, many worshippers had gone to the temple with lady worshippers within the group of 10 to 50 age. So all of these quotes which I've read to you are from the Kerala High Court, which then imposed restrictions on women. They based it according to the views of the high priests or tantris of the Sabarimala temple. Also, what's interesting is that the limitation on women is more due to so-called physiological reasons other than religious ones. For example, Justices K. Paripurnan and K.B. Marar in their 1991 judgment noted, since pilgrims to Sabarimala temple ought to undergo vratams or penance for 41 days, usually ladies between the age of 10 and 50 will not be physically capable of observing this vratam for 41 days on physiological ground. So it's not something that has been set out in faith, and there are of course women who went there earlier. It was considered in 1991, and just before that the temple also said it, that women just may not be able to. So when women and religious leaders today say that it is against their faith, what are they basing it on? Politicians, of course, sensing an opportunity for populism, have jumped in. The Congress may have welcomed the Supreme Court order here in Delhi, but their local leaders say this.
Women were not banned in Sabarimala. Only a particular age, 10 to 50 people, which will be infringing the sentiments of the people there. We have decided to call all the former Devaswam Board presidents and members belonging to our party, and we will have a discussion tomorrow, and we will take a decision. And RSS and the LDF government in the state, they are the prime culprits in this.
So he blames RSS, but actually RSS seems to kind of agree with him, while the left government and the Devaswam board, here's what's to note for our viewers. The Devaswam board has said very clearly they are not going to file a review petition in Supreme Court. But the Congress and the local RSS seem to agree. What has the RSS said? Let me just read out the statement which has come this evening. RSS says, while SC judgment should be respected, all stakeholders, including spiritual and community leaders, must come together to analyze and address the issue. Then they're also going to say that the sentiments of the devotees can't be ignored. Unfortunately, Kerala government has taken steps to implement the judgment with immediate effect without taking the sentiments of the devotees into consideration. So, That's what it is, the kind of conflicting sentiments and the stances of various people. But what are the ones who are protesting? These 8,000 people who are protesting and are saying this is their Jallikattu moment. What are they basing it on? Well, to talk about that, we have Janki, who is a college student and a Lord Ayappa devotee. She joins us from Trivandrum. We also have in studio MKG Pillai. He's a representative of the Nair Society, also someone who says no, the Supreme Court order is wrong. But to give us the other side, we have Suridhi Sharma, who is a member of the Happy to Bleed campaign and has fought for equal rights of women and not discrimination just because of periods. She is here in studio with us, and a very special guest. We have TK Nair, who is the former aide of Dr. Manmohan Singh. He joins us from Thiruvananthapuram. And the reason why Mr. Nair has joined us is because Mr. Nair's mother has gone there to Sabarimala temple when she was between the age of 10 and 50. Mr. Nair, tell us the circumstances of her visit, because right now all the people who are speaking out, they're saying that it's tradition, women have never been allowed. But your mother's experience is completely different, isn't it? Tell us about that.
Well, as you asked me, I will repeat again. It's very personal, but now it has become a matter of public debate, unfortunately. You know, my father and mother were serious devotees of Lord Ayappa, particularly my father. But regrettably, 3 of my siblings who were born before me, they died in their infancy. And my father and mother naturally were very upset. And being devotees of Sabarimala and Ayappa, my father was counseled to seek the blessings and the advice of the then Raja of Pandalam, because Pandalam Raja is respected as the foster father of Lord Ayappa. Accordingly, my father sought the blessings and the advice of the then Raja of Pandalam, who told him in no uncertain terms that he would have a male child soon, and he advised him to name that child Ayappa and have his Annaprasha, or the first time when the child is fed on rice, to be done at the Sabarimala temple precincts. So accordingly, I was born, and my father and mother took me to the Sabarimala temple, and I had my Annaprasam in the precincts of the temple, sitting in my mother's lap. And this is what I was told long ago by my father and my mother. And they repeated this story several times to me in order to instill in me, greater and greater faith and devotion to Lord Ayappa. And I have been following them, and even today I am an ardent devotee of Sabarimala. I have not been able to go there during the last 4 or 5 years, but I had been to Sabarimala several times with my father. And let me also say that after this, the Kerala High Court order or judgment about which you mentioned came into force, as a law-abiding citizen, I followed that judgment. When my daughter was born and when she became 5 or 6 or something, we went with her to the temple first, but later on we stopped taking her to the temple because she had crossed the age of 10. I was a law-abiding citizen of this country, and after that judgment, I never took any women of the age of, between the ages of 10 and 50 to the temple.
Well, I wonder if your daughter's going to go now. And I just wanted to ask you, just to put it into perspective, when your parents told you this story, Mr. Nair, did they say that it was an extraordinary thing that your mother had done, or was it something that was usual, that women did?
Unfortunately, I am not in a position to truthfully answer that question, because this happened, my going to the temple with my mother, that happened maybe about 77, 78 years ago. And at that time, there was no idea that one day you will be asked to explain the circumstances under which your mother took you there, etc., etc. And they also had no idea when they told me this. It was a part of the bringing up of me as a child.
I understand. Janki, you're hearing Mr. T.K. Nair's personal story. This is not something which is political. This is a personal story that you're hearing. And you just heard the extracts that I read out from the judgment at that time, which talks about what had happened. And you know, the various women who were there and who had taken their children, and they were women between 10 and 50. So what I want to understand from you, Janki, isn't it misleading then to say, look, faith, it's against our faith, where earlier, before in the 70s and before the 70s, women would go all the time. So why are women like you saying we are going to wait when it's obviously not something which has been imposed by our religion or by, you know, it's something which is imposed by the administrators at that time?
See, actually, I'm a true believer of Ayappa, and whatever Mr. Sir T.K. Nair said right now, I don't know if I'm supposed to believe that. I'm a true devotee, and I have Hindu beliefs. Like the Hindu beliefs that I have been learned by my parents is that, you see, men and women are not discriminated. They're actually just an exclusion. Like if you take the case of temples here, men are not supposed to wear their shirts while they enter the temple. We can't just tell women to do the same, can we? It's not that there is inequality between men and women. Women do have restrictions. That is, they're not supposed to enter the temple during their menstruation. Just like that, even in the Christian community as well as in the Muslim community, it prevails. Christians, they're supposed to remove their hats while they enter the church. Muslims, women, they're not supposed to trim their nails or put makeup. Yeah.
Okay, Janki, you're saying you don't know whether to believe Mr. T.K. Nair or not, even if you don't believe him, but you do believe, you're seeing that you're a college student, you would believe judges of the High Court, right? And I'm reading out quotes of the judges which talk about the fact that women were going there. And they talk about the fact that the numbers of women were low because of what was involved. So why, so don't you think that this is something that the then head priest or tantri, they imposed?
I can't actually say, I can't actually comment for this, because I have been taught, like my parents have been telling me that this is the belief that is in Sabarimala temple. Women are not supposed to enter the temple between the age of 10 to 50. That is a Hindu belief. And what do you say?
But when I'm showing you instances, when I'm reality checking that to you, you don't want to comment on that. Okay.
No, I don't want.
Okay. So, Surati, what do you make of this?
Okay. So it's a simple argument. Menstruation is something that has been used, just like a lot of societal issues have been against women, in systematic ways to keep them in certain boundaries. Now, for example, from my research itself, which I did on menstruation, it came out and emerged that there are three main taboos that exist against menstruation. There are many, but three main. One is not to enter the kitchen, one is not to enter the temple, and one is not to have sex with, well, your husband during those days. What was found out in nuclear households was that a man, if he wants, he will have sex with you. You will cook for him because it's a nuclear household, you're the only woman. But the only thing that is upheld is the fact that you do not enter the temple, because it's not affecting the man, it's not affecting anyone else.
So when it's convenient, you're saying.
Exactly, and that's the judgment, you know. When it's changed in 91, when it's allowed for VIPs in Sabarimala, it's convenience. You use it when you want to use it, when it's convenient for you. You take it and you use it, and you change the rule when it's not convenient for you, which is not fair at all.
Mr. Nair, how can you not argue with this? Because I am reading out to you what the judgment said. The young lady, Janki, didn't want to believe what T.K. Nair has said. I don't know whether you believe what T.K. Nair is saying. And why would he? He's giving his own example. And there are many people, the judgment says there are many people and women used to go there. It only stopped in 1972 when the temple said, and then just because some of the priests came and said that no, we are going to stop it, but there is evidence of women going before that. So it's obviously not a matter of that the temple rules.
Well, the woman entering the Ayappa temple was never banned, but the restriction of any lady menstruating in her menstruating age between 10 and 50 was banned for years to come.
But Mr. T.K. Nair's
Well,
mother
Mr. Nair has told
was
something.
less than 50. She
But,
was
I
she had
don't
just
know.
given birth at that time.
He was told by somebody. He was so young. and
But
in
sir,
fact-
we have a case of Chandrika, who is the secretary at that time of the Devaswam board, and she did her child's first rice ceremony also there.
Chandrika, I know we were. we
Yes,
studied
it's a
together.
documented case in the court.
We studied together in
Yes.
Trivandrum. I
So
know
she took her
Chandrika.
child's first ceremony, she went there.
She has done something wrong and she had to pay the price for that in legal terms and also by penalty there. It was a mistake and it was an admitted mistake. And she has.
But my point is, sir,
Yes.
you don't want to believe, okay, you're also not believing T.K. Nair. But their judgment, the honorable judges of the High Court have said that women used to go there and women have been going there. This judgment in 1991 stopped it. So I'm saying, how can we be in denial? We are all educated people. How can we be in denial about what is reality, what has happened? I'm quoting judgments, sir.
You have quoting judgments and I have seen for the last years, many years, what was happening in Sabarimala. Sabarimala,
You are saying no women went there.
women were there,
But not
not during this age group. I have never seen a lady there.
But
No
there
one
are documented cases.
I don't know that, and I think there is some other motive behind it. And in fact, somebody is trying to mix some personal interest or some political interest with the belief. See, the Sabarimala Lord is unique, and any lady can go there, but what you are doing is that you must have uninterrupted penance for 41 days, austerity measures, Swatik food, and also 41 days.
Which is what we read out, which is one of the things which made it difficult for women to go.
Yes.
And as I said, and the court judgment also notes, not many women would go there. But it does not mean that God had imposed a ban on women going there. That seems to be man-made. T.K. Nair, the fact that your experience, that your own life story is being denied by both Janki and Mr. Nair over here, Mr. Pillai over here, who represents the Nair society. What do you make of that? There seems to be a complete desire to whitewash what happened before, which is documented by High Court judgments. This is not me knowing it. These are High Court reports which I'm pointing out. What do you make of the fact that they refuse to believe your story, sir? Mr. Nair? Yeah, I'm asking you. Okay, I'll just come back to you. Janki, the fact that women across, as a college student, you must have seen that women across, I don't know if you read the Supreme Court, the latest Supreme Court judgment or not, it's more about, it's not just going to the temple, it's about taking away discrimination. What do you make of that?
As I said earlier, it's not discrimination, it's not inequality, it's just exclusion of a certain age.
Yes.
That is, there will be certain logical or scientific reasons behind which women are not supposed to enter the temple. Maybe it's our safety, or maybe it's our health. There'll be some other reason which is unknown now, because there's no evidence that is stating that there are no scriptures saying what happened in Sabarimala temple or about Ayappa. There are no documented books. That's why we are not able to prove our point.
Even if I show you all these documents, these cases which are there in High Court, if you see it with your own eyes, will you believe it then that yes, women used to go?
I can't comment in this.
Okay. Well, Mr. Nair, you wanted to say?
Well, what I wanted to say is that I was reading a book on Sabarimala by a certain gentleman who belonged to an erstwhile princely family of Kerala, and who worked as an assistant commissioner of the Travancore Devaswam board for about 16-18 years. And that book clearly brings out that at certain point of time, women may not have been encouraged to visit Sabarimala because the journey was arduous and it was difficult for women to do that. In that very same book, he says that today, denying women the opportunity to offer their prayers to Lord Ayappa would be a sin. You know, we are sort of defiling, I mean, we are, the judgment actually is, to my mind, celebrating motherhood. That is the very basis of everything. Menstruating women, if they are unholy and if they are not to be touched and if they cannot worship, then the future of humanity itself is uncertain, isn't it? Not uncertain, is just not there. Future generations will not be born.
Yes.
If women who are menstruating or women who can conceive children are not allowed to worship. I think this is nothing other than sheer misogyny. And again, let me tell you that even those who are supposed to be firmly believing in the 41 days of penance, etc., cannot deny for a minute that 90% of the men who visit Sabarimala today as pilgrims do not observe even 20% of the old customs and traditions and all the old acharas or all the maryadas.
Sure.
You are insisting it only in the case of women. Isn't it sheer discrimination?
Well, yes, we think so, but obviously there are a large number of women like Janki who don't think that. So the last word to you. I know that some people would say that the women who are saying that they were happy to wait, and who are saying that, you know, this is what it is. Some might say that they're being agents of patriarchy, but they're saying that women like yourself, women like me, who say that women should go and take advantage of it, they're being agents of Western patriarchy. What would you say to that?
It's not any kind of patriarchy. Well, if someone is happy to wait, I respect their choices. It's a choice. And if someone wants to go, it's their choice. The problem is the lack of choice, that there is no option to go. If someone wants to go, there is no option. If Janki doesn't want to go, I respect her choice. She shouldn't go if she doesn't want to go. That's her way of carrying out her belief. But if there is a woman who wants to carry out her belief by going there while she's menstruating even, who are anyone as a human being, can we tell this other person that your relationship with God should be like this? We can't do that. It is a matter of lack of choice. That is all. And we are demanding choice, not saying that women who are saying we are happy to wait are wrong. It's a debate about choice, and it should not be politicized, which it is being, but well, that's the matter in India.
Well, thanks so much, and I think that's a perfect note to end on. Also, the good news out of all of this is that while, yes, there is a lot of politics, but the temple board has said they won't challenge the words of Supreme Court, and they have said that they will not make any special arrangements for women. They'll just give the same equal amenities that are there as well, and that's what women want, just equal rights, the equal opportunity, and the ability to visit Sabarimala temple if they wish to. That's it on Reality Check. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.